Sorry.
It's weird.
Sorry.
That's me.
Okay, perfect.
You're yell at me. You can yell.
I really appreciate the opportunity to speak before you all. My name is Alayne White, A-L-A-Y-N-E, for those who don't know me. And I have been serving as county commissioner since 2001, when I was appointed by Governor Anthony Shue. Then I ran in 2002, and I was reelected to that. And now, this time I do have a primary. Now, I really like to be reelected, because what most folks don't know is that the fiscal court, with the judge executive and the 3 commissioners, we get about $1 million a year in county rural road funds. And so it's had no loss. Last year, we had 3 roads that we could repair, and it came out to $919,000. So, it's and I have found I really enjoy this work. You can pick up one of my cards, it's on the back. I really enjoy it, but I will say, it took me almost 2 years, even though I've had lots of experience in city government and state government and so on. It took me almost 2 years to learn about the rural roads and the kinds of repairs they need. So I don't want to lose that 2 years of experience. I want to bring it on and go forward. And I would ask you for your vote, please. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody, for having me here. I see a lot of familiar faces. My name is Stephenie Hoelsch. I am a candidate for Lexington's 5th District. For those of you who may not be familiar, that includes Kenwick, Lakeshore, the Reservoir, Ashland Park, Chevy Chase, Lansdowne, parts of the Liberty Road, Winchester Corridor, Richmond Road Corridor, and I think that's it. It is an open seat this year. Liz Sheehan has decided not to run for re-election, and I do have 2 opponents. The top 2 vote getters on May 19th go on to the November. That being said, I am a former State House reporter for the Courier-Journal, where I covered politics and government. After that, I moved on to be Communications and Policy Director for State Auditor Adam Edelin, where I led the team that counted untested sexual assault kits in possession of law enforcement, and I worked on the effort to reform that system. I'm running on quality of life. Lexington's 5th District is very privileged, perhaps one of the most privileged in the city, and I'm privileged to live there. I didn't grow up in this area. I chose to make it my home, and I have tried to work really hard to build community where I'm at, from the PTA to the Bluegrass Wildwater Association organization I'm involved with, Sandwiches for Catholic Action Center, volunteering for Ronald McDonald House. So community advocacy and community activism is important to me. I've been out at the marches with Peaceful Bluegrass Resistance. So if you live in the 5th District, I would appreciate your vote. I do have the endorsements of the Kentucky State Building and Construction Trades Council, LIUNA. So I have won the support of several of the labor folks here, because I really firmly believe that we can't address a lot of our issues, including affordable housing, until we start talking about wages. I've got the support of Planned Parenthood advocates. I am a former member of the board of Planned Parenthood of Kentucky and Planned Parenthood of Indiana and Kentucky. I'm a Moms Demand Action Gun Sense candidate, and I have recently earned the endorsement of CFAIR. So again, I would appreciate your support if you live in the 5th District, and if you're interested in volunteering, knocking on doors, please reach out. My website is stephforlex.com. And please don't be offended if I pop out. Today's big door knocking day in my district. And so if you want to have a conversation with me at another time, please, stephforlex.com. So thank you.
Stand up there. Yes, she is. Okay, we'll say. Well, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for having me out. I am C.E. Huffman. That's Huffman. I am running for mayor of Lexington and Fayette County. This is such a unique place and it's such a unique government. What I did, this started 3 years ago when I started going to every city council meeting. I've been to every meeting with the mayor. It's been me and the mayor, and John knows. I've been there. I know the council members, what they're working on. I know what we need to go on in this county. We need to get our government back to basics, okay? 3 years ago, I started going to those meetings because I didn't know that anybody was dealing with the traffic. The traffic had just gotten so out of control, right? I worked at the University of Kentucky in public relations, and I would leave every day, and it would take 20, 30 minutes just to get off campus, right? And what you notice that the lights had their own brains. Nobody was dealing with it. You watch the lights do whatever they want to in Lexington, and there's no coordination, right? We can do better. There are solutions to that. Then it was the potholes. Our potholes have got, it's like we live in Chicago. We can do better, right? There's technology, there's new technology that we need to invest in. So I decided I'm going to get our government back to basics, and we're going to connect our farms to our inner city and get everything going on 4 issues, right? It's housing, making housing an emergency on day 1 by executive order. Let's bring everybody to the table. That's the University of Kentucky, who's our largest employer, right? And that's also the people who take care of our unhoused communities. They have to be at the top, at the tippy top of who we're going to take care of as we deal with our housing and do more infill as we go forward so we can protect our farms. The second issue that I wanted to deal with was the economy. We need to get back to investing in small businesses and entrepreneurs when it talks about our economy. I think we should invest in that, and that's how we will get out of this K-shaped economy that's Lexington. The way to grow our economy is from the bottom up, and I think our government is going to have to make those investments. Next is public safety. Living in the north end of Lexington on Georgetown Road, the north end of Lexington has a very different experience with Lexington public safety than the south end. We can get those that melded up, but it has to start at the top. The mayor is the person that's going to lead that relationship and mending that relationship. And I'd love to see our first responders, some of our first responders become social workers so that we can get them on the scene when they go there, and we can work with the University of Kentucky to get scholarships and give our police officers, our firefighters, the time off from work to actually go out and do those classes so they can come back and be the people on the scene when they have that. The last piece of it is public mobility. This is where it started, and I'm a Lex-Turian driver. I drove for Lex-Train between 2013 and 2015. I basically left because I could not drive in Lexington anymore. That was basically it's all right. Lexington, some of the issue is we don't have a bypass right to get through the city. We've got to figure out how to get everything moving and get the city mobile and get all of our cars and our buses moving. Oh, well, there you go. Check me out at WLHuffman.com. Thanks.
State representative of the 45th House District. That means nothing. That's Southwest Lexington and North Jessamine County, first elected in 2024. A lot of people talk about when they're running for these partisan offices, I'm a lifelong Democrat or I'm a lifelong Republican. It wasn't that way in my house. I grew up alongside my granddad's tobacco farm. It was more about just like hard work and doing the right thing more than it was a party label. But doing the right thing, that has just been what I've tried to do and live up to my parents' creed. Whether I was at Murray State, whether that was my time working in D.C. for a congressman, or in the Army, either here or overseas in Africa and Afghanistan. And I try to do that for our Lexington community here now as best I can, as a member of Moms Demand Action, as a member of KFTC, and now the best I can in the state legislature representing the 45th House District. What that looks like when I think about treating people right, that means people like my son who just turned 9, that he and every other kid in Kentucky can have access to a good education no matter where they are. I think about my wife and I, and every other worker in the state, we should have fair wages for fair work, and if we wanted to organize, we would have that right to do so. My parents are in their 70s, they ought to be able to retire with some dignity and not into poverty. And then any of us could get sick at any time, any of us could be in an accident at any time. We should be able to have health care and go to the doctor without that fear of going broke at the same time. And so I ran on these things that I don't think sound super liberal or super woke, but they sound like putting people first. And that made me a middle-of-the-road Kentucky Democrat. And I was proud to flip the 45th House District from R to D in 2024, and I'm running to do that again to hold that seat. I know we always want someone in Frankfort who's going to fight for us. I know we want someone in Frankfort who's able to get things done, and I really feel like I've been able to do that in this first term. In that first year, I was the leading voice on making sure it was easier for our caregivers to vote. I made sure that we were able to found the first ever bipartisan Veterans Caucus in the legislature, and I was able to pass a bill through the House guaranteeing access and a price cap to life-saving medication. And then in a year or two, when they didn't want to do anything for me, they didn't want to work with me because they wanted to flip this seat back, so I just worked behind the scenes. That meant making sure that those who completed their sentences still have access to psychiatric care so they don't go back into the prison system. I was able to make it easier for our dependents of our disabled and deceased first responders and veterans to get free state tuition in Kentucky. And when they didn't give me credit for on the House floor, I filed the amendment that made sure that we fully funded SNAP in the state budget so that no one is going to bed hungry, whether that's seniors, our kids, or anyone in between. So again, the whole thing has been about putting people over politics. Again, I never ran just to be a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. I ran to put people first, to work hard and do the right thing. And I'm proud to be a Democrat who's doing that alongside a lot of people in this room, alongside Governor Beshear in Frankfort. And I hope that you all will help me continue to do that by allowing me to be reelected this November. Again, my name is Adam Moore. Thank you all so much. And that was really fast talking.
We're moving on to our U.S. House candidates here. And we've got 4 joined us today. And the first one up is Dembo.
Hey, good afternoon, y'all. Thank you all for being here. I'm Zach. I grew up here in Lexington, come from 9 generations of Kentuckians, and I wasn't planning on running for office, but the mission found me, and I'm honored to be doing it. I spent my whole career in public service, whether as an 8th grade English teacher in rural Mississippi, whether on active duty in the United States Navy as a JAG, whether working for Governor Andy Beshear, who when he got elected, I'm very grateful to say, asked me to come back and be his policy advisor and ultimately his legislative director. Learned a lot working side by side with the governor. The only reason I left the governor's side was to take what I thought would be the last job I'd ever need, which was being a federal prosecutor right here in Lexington. That is the dream job because your only mission is to do the right thing every day. And I love that. But when this administration came in and they changed the mission from working for you all to working for the president, from prosecuting corruption to enabling corruption, I knew I couldn't stay around for that. All I have in my life is my name and honor. I could not allow my name and honor to be subjugated to that, so I resigned as a matter of principle. So now I'm trying to figure out, how do I keep fighting for people? How do I fight for people like I did for my students, like I did for my sailors and Marines, like I did for victims of crime? And that's why I'm in this race, because right now we know there's no one in DC fighting for us. The current person in this seat, sure as hell, is not fighting for us. He's sucking up to the president and he's trying to get another gig. We need someone to fight for us, and the corruption that's coming out of DC is staggering, right? It is staggering. And you all need a former corruption prosecutor to go in and clean that up. I know a thing or two about fighting that, and it's corruption in so many ways, y'all. You all know this, but first, when we are cutting taxes on the millionaires and billionaires on the backs of working families by cutting Medicaid, that's corruption. When the president's family is making billions of dollars off of our public money, that is corruption. And so we have to take this administration on. But we need more than that, because there's a reason this administration got elected. If things were working well in DC, a felon does not get elected a second time, right? There were problems before. Congress is also corrupt. How are we allowing Congress people to trade individual stocks based on non-public information? That needs to be banned. How are we allowing Congress people to be lobbyists ever? They should never be taking votes thinking about a future gig. You all probably saw the scandal with Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, right? Both parties, doesn't make any difference to me as a federal prosecutor, former federal prosecutor, excuse me, doesn't make any difference. We need Congress to be held to the highest possible standard instead of the standard they're holding themselves now, which is just protecting each other, protecting their interests, and trying to get reelected. I joined this fight because I think we need new ideas, we need an outside perspective, and if we need to take on corruption, we need someone who's fought corruption his entire career, which was my mission. I'd be honored to have your vote on May 19th. Again, I'm Zach Dembo. I'm running to be your next congressperson.
Next up, we have David Kloiber.
Hi guys, my name is David Kloiber. I'm also running for the same seat. I've grown up here in Lexington. I've got 2 kids in the public schools here in Lexington. I live here with my family. I served on city council. I ran for mayor. Some of you may recognize me from one of those 2 gigs. But mostly I've just been working to improve the community. I started a foundation back in the early 2000s that works with schools and teachers to get them the tools they need to succeed. Teachers don't always have enough money to get supplies in their classroom. We help to provide grants to get them exactly what they need. We don't always have connectivity for these STEM projects or these STEM resources across the state. We provided a bus that actually is a mobile lab for every elementary school in the state. These are the kind of things that we worked on for many years, and by 2019, we worked with Fayette County Public Schools to make sure every single school was one-to-one with devices and kids. We did not know that in 2020 it was going to become mandatory that that was the case, but because we worked so hard ahead of time, we had what we needed when we needed it. I'm running for this race because I'm trying to make the place my kids are growing up, the place they want to raise their own children. And we know that if things keep going the way they're going, that's not going to be the case. Now, you don't need me to tell you all the problems. Zach outlined a lot of them, right? But if we're going to solve them, we have to actually win this seat. We can't run a race for May and lose in November. And right now, we're the minority in this district. 43% Democrat. Voted for Trump by 12 points. But we voted for Andy Beshear by 20. Right? That means people here are willing to vote for a person if you give them something to vote for instead of just something to vote against. That means our messaging needs to be about what we're going to do for you and not just what we believe. Because everybody who stands up here on this stage and everyone who's running in this election believes the same things. We are here to fight against the injustices we see and make sure people are put first. We want to see things like universal health care. We want to see things like affordable housing for everyone. But we need to talk to people about it in a way that resonates with them, with a plan. That's why I've written 3 bills. I've put them on my website. You can look at them. Reducing the cost of health care, reducing the cost of housing, and increasing wages. And each one of them comes with a message that you can talk to your neighbors, even if they don't agree with you as a Democrat or a liberal or conservative, saying, we're going to get the health care we already paid for. We're going to incentivize your employers to pay you more money, and they'll be happy doing it. And we're going to make sure that everyone can afford a home where they grew up. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it's what people need to hear to vote for a Democrat in November. Because if we don't get in the seat, it doesn't matter what our intentions are. Doesn't matter what our qualifications are. I've actually passed a bill in Washington to make sure that American companies were the first that we went to with our contracts instead of going to China. And now I gotta wrap that up because I went a little long. Thank you guys for listening to me. I appreciate it if you'll check out my website at davidkloiber.com, and I hope for your support in this primary.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, listen, I figured out the alphabetical order by last name. We're all good, right? Hey everyone, my name is Erin Petrey, and I too am running for the Democratic nomination to replace Andy Barr, who I feel like is one of the most ineffectual legislators that we have ever had in not just this district, but this whole state. I mean, Hal Rogers has done more than he has. But, you know, I got into this race because I wasn't seeing the kind of leaders that I could trust in Washington. I'm a proud progressive. And across the country, what we are seeing is progressive candidates are picking up more points and more votes than any middle-of-the-road Democrat is. And that's because people are tired of the same old thing. We see a lot in the South, people wanting to race to the center. But as I was talking to someone in Bourbon County the other night, they said, Erin, I'm tired of Democrats who are just Republican light. And that is not who I am. I believe in Medicare for all, something that has over a 65% approval rating among voters. I believe in a living wage and increasing the minimum wage so it's actually tied to inflation, so it ratchets up every year. I'm the only candidate to call for abolishing ICE. Something that a libertarian stopped me on the street in Paris the other day and said, I might be a single issue voter just because of this. 27% of voters ally themselves with the Democratic or the Republican Party. That leaves out a whole lot of people, like you, Adam. Our independents, our others, our unaffiliated, our libertarians, our other third-party people. So in November, we need a candidate who can not just pull Democrats, but also pull the Democrats who have lost faith in the Democratic Party, which is all of the progressives in the party, but also be able to actually earn those votes from the others. Because they have left those parties, and a lot have left the Democratic Party because the Democrats have not been who we needed to be. They've become the same kind of thing that the Republicans have been, which is corporate Democrats doing the same old thing. I talked publicly about never even considering taking AIPAC money, but I also believe that we need to reclassify them as the foreign lobbyists that they are. I also believe in doing things like not adding defense spending and authorizing defense spending until the Department of Defense passes an audit. See, I'm a proud graduate of Lexington Public Schools. I did Cassidy, Morton, Henry Clay, the 40502 Triple Crown, right? And I got my master's at the Patterson School of Diplomacy, just like Stephenie did back there. And I used that degree to do things like manage a foreign embassy in DC, renewing relationships between post-revolutionary Libya and the United States. I know the value of democracy, and we have been sleeping on it. I've also managed billions of dollars in critical infrastructure projects, manufacturing, renewable energy, and ports, creating good jobs, the kind that we need right here in Kentucky. So not only have I done the kind of things that Congress talks about doing but never does, I will do them. My name is Erin Petrey. I'm a proud progressive Democrat, and I hope to be able to earn your vote on May 19th to flip this district.
Thank you. Chair?
Hey, there you go. Hi, I'm Sherilyn Stevenson, and I want to be your next U.S. House Representative, just like the 3 previous speakers. I hail from a holler in eastern Kentucky. I grew up, my mama was a school teacher, my dad was an Army veteran turned coal miner, so I come from a great union household. I come from a long line of coal miners, of the group of people who, long time ago, years ago, decided that they were tired of living in a company town, owing the company store, and working for poverty wages to barely get by. And they decided that they were ready to band together, stand up, and fight back. And guess what? They won. And now it's our turn. We are living in a time where chaos and corruption is just pouring out of Washington. There are millionaires and billionaires that are pulling the puppet strings all over. They have a president and an administration that they bought and paid for. There's a Congress that they bought and paid for. And most days there's a Supreme Court that they have bought and paid for. So it is our time to decide that they no longer get to keep us divided and profit from that division, because I say right now, this is not an election that is red versus blue. This is an election about billionaires versus you. And when we all decide that we're tired of fighting one another and punching right to left, and we all decide that we're going to start punching up instead, that is when we will once again get a government of, for, and by the people. Now, I served for 6 years in our state house. I flipped a district that right here on the south side of Lexington that had never been held by a Democrat or a Republican. I am the only person in this race that has flipped a seat that has been long held by Republicans. I am the only one that has survived the nasty and divisive politics that unfortunately dominate our elections today. And I have already stood on a House floor and fought back against MAGA Republicans. I am also the only person in this race that has not given themselves a whole bunch of money or been thrown a fundraiser by a billionaire. I fought to flip that seat. I served in a super minority, so I fought every single day. I kept that seat even after massive redistricting. So if you all want to fight her in DC, I am your girl. I promise. We can't promise a lot because we don't know what it's going to look like. But if I'm there for 10 years or 2, I will not leave having regrets. I have been a staunch advocate for public schools, for women's reproductive health, and our ability to make our own health decisions. I have stood up for our veterans, our first responders, our teachers. I have stood on picket lines with our union brothers and sisters. I have the endorsement of the AFL-CIO, many unions, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman, former Governor Paul Patton, Emily's List, and elect Democratic women. They have trust in my record and my readiness to lead. Thank you all so much.
Go to the front room here.
I'm Amy Beasley, and I'm the 8th District City Council member, and I am running for re-election.
I'm Hubert Lynn, Democratic Socialist, running for Lexington's at-large City Council race.
Second row. Okay.
Yes, my name is Alex Garcia. I'm running for Fayette County District Court Judge. I'm hoping to become the first Latino judge ever in Fayette County. Representation is needed in our judicial more than ever.
Yes. Jon Larson, running for council in the 3rd Council District. I'm the most educated, most professional. Been a judge executive, and I am the most activist person in this room. Thank you.
Third row. Anybody?
3rd Council District.
Nope. All right. 4th row. I think everybody must be hanging out in the back. We're gonna go over here.
I'm Gay Donworth. I am a current representative for the 76th House District, which is kind of the northeastern portion of Fayette County. I am running for re-election, and I do have a primary. So if you are in the 76th District, come see me. We'd love to talk to you.
My name is. Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Darnell Tagaloa, and I am running for mayor of Lexington along with Mr. Huffman here. So, just wanted to introduce myself. If any of y'all have any questions, feel free to come up to me afterwards and let's have a discussion. Thank you for your time.
My name is Logan Forsythe. I'm running for U.S. Senate. So if you all have any questions, you want to come get to know me, I will be here as long as you all will be here. Thank you.
Hi, I am Tate Ohmer. I'm also running for Lexington Council at Large. I'm an affordable housing and small business supporting Democrat.
Hey.
Might be me next.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Lyndsay Burke. I'm a state representative for the 75th District, which is Central Lexington. I have been elected twice and up for my 3rd election this coming November. I'm also the caucus chair for the House Democrats. So if you've been noticing that we've been fighting back, I'm happy to deliver that for you.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Adrielle Camuel. I'm the state rep for House District 93, so welcome to the district. This library is in the 93rd House District. I'm proud to serve alongside Ann and Adam and Lyndsay. She has been an incredible leader. I do not have a primary, thankfully, but I do have a general. Most people in this room actually have my cell number, and if you don't have it, just ask the person next to you. If you've ever got questions, if you've got concerns, reach out. I am happy to help. But thank you for so many of you that I know in the room. Thank you all for helping me win my special and win my last election. Kept me on winning again. So again, thank you so much for being here, taking time out of your Sunday. So.
Because we normally like to keep our events really sort of casual, we often have our events in breweries.
There's some beer here.
Not this time around, but so this is the legitimate actual meet your candidate portion. So candidates will be up and around, hopefully, and if anybody likes to stick around and talk to them, please do so. And then we're technically done in the library at 4, but there's a ton of time on the clock, so however long you'd like to stay.
Great.
Anything else about the board? Anything else that needs to be said?
Volunteers to join the board.
Yes, okay, yes, that's right. So, Bluegrass Activist Alliance is looking for new board members. We've had a few leave recently, so we need to add to our ranks. So if you're interested at all in helping us out, please come over to the table here and sign up, or at least discuss with us, because maybe before signing up you would be like, no, I don't want to actually do that. And also to pitch for candidates. I know candidates here are all looking for volunteers, so that's like a #1 priority for candidates. So if you are, interested in volunteering for the campaign, please get involved. This is the best time to do it. And having worked for candidates, I know that they appreciate every little bit. Every door knock, everybody on the phones, everything.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Candidate forum was over. People standing around talking to candidates. John Walker, Sherilyn Stevenson, Amy Beasley, Mr. Garcia, Adam Moore, John Kloiber, Jon Larson, Logan, Gay Donworth, Erin Petrey, Stephenie, and Tate Ohmer, and Alayne White, and Josh Dembo. And he's running for mayor. Huffman.